Okay, but in the process, 31 Zoomers have joined us, so Baruch Hashem. So we are holding by Amar Rabba Bar Bar Chana, which is 2 lines from the bottom of Daf Chav Zayin Amud Beis. And I had thought I would be broadcasting from South Fallsburg, but my Shver Avigdor Ben Rivka had the procedure today, and my wife wanted to stay to visit him tomorrow after the procedure, so we are still broadcasting from our flagship station, Douglas Israel, Beis Zeva, Fairways, Lakewood. Amar Rabba Bar Bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Kol Makkah Shemechalel Aleha Es HaShabbos, any wound that you could desecrate the Shabbos for, so that means it's a matter of life and death. And we said when it comes to a matter of life and death, we're not going to trust a guy. Therefore, ein misrapim man. Right? Others put it a different way. Any wound of an internal organ, ein misrapim man, because an internal organ, again, is a matter of life and death. Now, my beinayu, ikebeinayu gav hayad v'gav haregel. The difference between them is the upper part of the hand and the upper part of the bottom of the foot. The Amar Avoda b'masna Amar Rav gav hayad v'gav haregel harei hein kimake shel chalol. They are like an internal organ. Umechalon alein es haShabbos, and we desecrate the Shabbos for it. So therefore, according to the first lashon, we do not take refuah from them, but according to the second lashon, we can, since it's not internal, it can be seen on the outside, and therefore, since it could be on the outside, he's not going to try to do any hanky-panky. Amar Rav Zutra bar Tuvia Amar Rav. Rav Zutra, excuse me, Rav Zutra bar Tuvia Amar Rav called Maka Shetzricha Oimed. Any wound that we have to evaluate if he's going to live or if he's going to die, if it's so serious that we have to evaluate if he's going to live or he's going to die, we certainly desecrate the Shabbos for it. Amar Rav Sham bar Abba Amar Rabbi Yochanan, v'hai ishta tzmirta, a raging fever, k'makah shel chalul dami, it's like a internal organ, u'mechalon aleh es haShabbos. It's interesting that Rav Moshe has a fairly lenient psak in the Igros Moshe. I see they brought it down in the art scroll that a continuous fever of 102 can be life-threatening, and one can desecrate the Shabbos for it. Meheichon makah shel chalul. When is it considered an internal wound? Pirish Rabbi Abba min hasafa ulifnim, from the lips and within. So now the Gemara says very interesting. Boy Rabbi Lazar, kochi v'shinei mai. What about it if it's a wound on the gums, by the teeth? Do we say, kevin dakushing ninu, since it's a hard substance, kemaked the broi dummy, it's like an external wound, or dilma kevin the gavoy kaime, since it's within the lips, kemaked shel chol damu, and you could desecrate the Shabbos. Amar Abaya tajma, we could bring a raya, hachoyshesh b'shinav, if one has some pain in his teeth, lo yigma behenes achaymetz, he shouldn't quaff down vinegar because that's refuah, and we're not supposed to do refuah on Shabbos. Chayshishu delay, only if he feels uncomfortable. But hakov leituva, but if it's hurting a lot, shabadami. So you see, it's considered an internal organ. Says, well, no, dilma tan heicha dekov leituva. Even if it hurts a lot, that's called chayshishu. That's called that he has a feeling he's hurting. Chayshish nami karibeh. And it's no raya that it's like an internal wound. Tajma. So here, now the Gemara is going to talk about an ailment called safdina. Now, some learn that safdina is thrush. Now, actually, it's interesting. Rashi uses a word in Old French. In the back of the Gemara, there's something called Targum Laz, where they translate the Old French words. A person who knew Old French translated the Old French words into Yiddish. It's a one page, and it's called Targum Laz, where they took the Old French words that Rashi used and they translated into Yiddish. So the Yiddish translation that they give for tzafdina is that tzafdina is thrush. The problem is, as Michal Avram will surely tell you, that thrush isn't an ailment of the teeth. The thrush is not. It doesn't.
Candida of the mouth.
Right. It's an infection of the mouth. It's not a. So anyway, correct. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan chosh b'tzavdina, ozal legabe dahi matranisa. He went to a certain Goyish matron of the Chamsha Umale Shapsa. He treated her Thursday and Friday. Amala l'macher mai. He couldn't come to her on Shabbos, so he said, tomorrow, what do I do? Amrulay, so she says, Leit tzrichas, you won't need treatment anyway tomorrow. So then he persisted, Eat tzrichna mai, what if I do need it? So she had a treatment that was her parnasa, and it was a guarded treatment. That Amra ishtavali delay megales. I'll tell it to you if you swear to me that you won't reveal it. So he swore to her an oath that really was a meaningless oath. Ishtavela, he swore to her that le'elaha Yisrael loy maglina. Now she thought it meant, I swear to you by the God of Israel that I won't reveal it. But what he really said is, I swear that I won't reveal it to God. So Gal Yalei, she revealed it to him. Now he felt that this was very important, that people should know. A lot of people suffered from this ailment. The next day, he went and he exposed it to the public. He told the public the remedy. Says the Gemara, but how could he do that? He took an oath. So he said, the Gemara says, it really wasn't an oath, because all he said is Lahadi Yisrael like Maglina. I won't reveal it to the God of the Jews. Yisrael Maglina, but I will reveal it to the Jewish people. Says the Gemara, but what about Chilul Hashem? She's going to think that a big leader of the Jewish people broke his oath. Says the Gemara, V'ike Chilul Hashem. Is a Chilul Hashem. Says the Gemara, Degali la meikara. After she revealed it to him, he said to her, by the way, it really wasn't an oath, because I just said that I won't reveal it to the God of Israel. But the bottom line is, one second, please. Alma,
Rabbi?
Could I finish my statement? Says the Gemara, Alma, we see over here that the fact that he was ready to do this treatment on Shabbos, Alma Kamaka Shecholodamya. This proves that it was like an internal wound. So you see that something on the teeth is an internal wound. Rav Nachman Yitzchak, now it's different, because thrush spreads very quickly throughout the body. Rav Nachman Yitzchak Shani Tzavdina, thrush is different. It starts in the mouth, and it finishes off in the intestines. Yes, what's your question? Hello?
Rabbi, didn't we learn in Shavuos that when you make a Shavuot, it has to be what the intent is, not to, say, like...
No, that's only if you make a Shavuot in a Bezdin, and they say that it's al datenu v'al das hamokim. But if they didn't say that, then it's whatever you thought in your mind. What?
Why isn't this a
Okay.
So it's interesting. There's two opinions on what happened. There's one opinion that she committed suicide, And there's another opinion that she was so impressed that he was willing to reveal it to everybody and not to make money on it, that she converted. The idea is it's not a Chilul Hashem because he didn't do it for any personal gain. He did it only to heal people. Now, my simone, the Gemara is now, the rest of today's daf is a famous medical Gemara. As Tosfos says about these medical Gemaras, we don't rely on the medical remedies in the Gemara because we say nishtanu hativim, our natures changed from the time of the Gemara, and we cannot necessarily rely on these remedies. But the Gemara asks, what are the signs of these ailments? It says the Gemara, Rami mide beikavi, if somebody put something touching a gum, omaisi dama mebeidare, and blood oozes out from between the teeth. It oozes out from other places. It affects the whole gum structure. Mimai have. What does it come from? What causes this ailment? Mikrire krire dechite, from eating very cold wheat, or mechamime chamime desari, and eating very hot barley, and mishure kosada hasana, and from leftover fried fish. My of the lake. Now the Gemara says, so what was the remedy that this matron did for Rabbi Yochanan? She gave him water that sourdough was soaked in, together with olive oil and salt. Mar Baravashi Amar Mishcha da Avza, she took the fat of a goose and applied it begat for the Avza, using a feather of the goose. Amar Abai Anav de Kulu, I tried all of these remedies, V'lo Yitzoi, Ad Amali Yahutaya, I was told by an Arabian merchant, ask your Kashyosa Dezesa, bring olive pits, the Loimalu Tilsa of olives that didn't ripen a third, Uklinu Amora Charita, burn them on a new hoe, the Davik Bei Didare, and press it onto the gums of the Lehachi. I did this with Itzai, and I was healed. Says the Gemara, but how did Rabbi Yochanan take a remedy from a guy for something that could be fatal? Rabbi Yochanan, I mean, it's our whole sugya over here. Rabbi Yochanan, any wound that you could desecrate the Shabbos for, you can't trust them. Says the Gemara, Adam Choshev Shani. It's different because since he was a very important personage, the guy would be afraid to take chances. Says the Gemara, but it's not true. Rabbi Avoda, Adam Choshev Have. Rabbi Avoda was a great man. V'ramale Yaakov Mino Samo Ashake, and he once had a problem with his thigh, and Yaakov Mino, Yaakov the heretic, put a medicine on the thigh. That medicine turned out to be toxic. V'iloi Rabami v'Rabasi delachu l'shake. If not that they licked off the medicine from his thigh, Paske l'shake, they would have had to amputate his thigh. Says the Gemara, no, the reason why is a different reason. Not because Rabbi Yochanan was an Adam Chashiv, but rather Rabbi Yochanan Raifei Mumchav. This matron was an expert doctor, and therefore she didn't want to lose her reputation. Says the Gemara, but Yaakov Mino was also an expert doctor. The Rabbi Avo Nami Raifei Mumchav. Says the Gemara, no, there it's different. Because they had an agenda with Rabbi Avo. Because Rabbi Avo would always win the min at the debates and show them up as being foolish. So the Gemara says, Shani Rabbi Avo, the mukba me mine ben afshayu, because when it comes to Rabbi Avo, the min would rather lose his reputation to get rid of Rabbi Avo. Like the Plishtim, like Shimshon said, Thomas Nafshi and Plishtim, when the Shimshon leaned on the two pillars and brought the whole roof caving down, killing himself, and thousands of Philistines. He said, Thomas Nafshi and Plishtim. So here also, the min was willing to lose his reputation in order to get at Rabbi Avo. Amar Shmuel, Hai Pedasa, the wound from a sword, a battle wound. Now, of course, metal has its own infection, tetanus, etc., and also there's the bleeding. So the Gemara says, what do we do with the wound from a sword? So, sakantahi, it's life-threatening, and therefore, mechal Shabbos, you could desecrate the Shabbos. So, maya susa, what's the remedy? So the Gemara says, lemifsik dama, in order to stop the bleeding, tachle bechala, you should use cress with vinegar. Cress is a food, a vegetable. You use cress with vinegar. La suke, in order to heal the wound, you take girda de yavla, you peel grass, the girda de asna, and peel from a thorn bush, and if not, oy nikra mikil kalta, or you could take from the dung heap. From the dung heap, Rashi says that there were worms in the dung heap that chickens pecked at. That's the notion of nikra, means pecking, and you use that. It's also a remedy to heal it. Amrav Safra, Hai Inbisa. Inbisa is a boil in the shape of a grape, and it was very dangerous. It's maybe a type of melanoma. Parvanka de Malacha de Musahi. It's a messenger of the Malach HaMavis. So Mayasu, so what do you do with this boil? Tigna beduvsha. You take tigna, we've had this in other places, tigna is rue, R-U-E, rue with honey. Oikarpasa bitilia, or celery. That's the way many learn karpas. Rav Moshe's minig was to have celery for karpas. It's interesting that the Chassam Sofer says that celery in Hebrew is apya, Aleph Pei Yud Aleph, and he says it's a Tevis for Kel Poel Yeshua's Ota. So many people use celery for karpas. Oy karpasa betilia, you take celery with very powerful wine, and in the meantime, you should take a grape similar to the type of boil. Lacey inbisa basmina, a grape similar to the type of boil, vinegadver ilve, and rub it against the boil. Chivarti lechivarti, a whitish grape for a white boil, a light grape, not white, but a light grape for a light boil, v'uchmase luchmase, and a dark grape for a dark boil. Amar Rava, high simta, a pus pimple. A pus pimple, and you know what? As Richard Rosenzweig just joined us, Richard, it's great to have you. 3 lines from the bottom of Daf Chav Ches Amud Aleph, and you know, it doesn't escape me that we have 32 Zoomers here tonight, which is very, very nice. By the way, I did find out that Aaron Swade is in Greenland, and that's why he hasn't been with us. All these people have excuses.
You believe that?
I'm telling you the excuses that these people come up with. He's with his wife. He's seeing the world. You know,
You could write a new book with all these excuses.
Emissary of the president working on the purchase.
Yeah, he said that's what he said to me. He's gonna give a report to President Trump. But anyway, we welcome in Dr. Guy and Avigdor. Avigdor, it's so good to have you. Rabbi said, do you know, I go back so far with Avigdor that I used to give the daf in Avigdor's house Friday night. Do you remember that, Avigdor?
Well, absolutely.
You do? You remember that? We were both a little younger then. Eddie Chazan. Barry Cement. Barry Cement is back stronger than ever. Saba and Rabbi Say, we should learn. Saba has a yard site tonight for his brother Yosef Rafal ben Menachem Mendel. His neshama should have a lichtige Gan Eden. Shimon Klein, Dr. Black, Shalom Fogel, Yitzi Fuchs, Shalom Zeitman, Mo Kushner, Michal, and Baruch Ian. Irving Fishbaum, who's making a Herculean effort to come, and we appreciate it. Yaakov Warman, Nachman Chapler, and Marshall Castle, Chaim Kramer, Rabbi Kranz, Mark Frankel, Yitzi Muller, Yisrael Fisher, Gedalia Engel, Stephen Holtzman, Moshe Lehman, A. Barbach, Abram Rezepkowitz, Ilya Shutman, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Richard Rosenzweig, David Helfgott, here in Shul. We have Berish Gessim, Michal Avram Chavin, Ruvain Shannon. And, says the Gemara, Amarava, high simta, a pus pimple, Pavan Kadishtahi, it heralds in a fever. Maya Susei, now it seems to me that you want to split, bust the pimples so that the pus should come out, and you want to do it in an indirect way. So he says, Limchai shitin isklei. You should snap your finger against it 60 times, and that way you'll start opening it up. And then v'likrei shesi ve'erev, you should cut it open horizontally and vertically. V'hani mili dolei, but don't go through this trouble if it already has a white head on it, because if it's a white head on it, it's going to break by itself. Less somebody, you don't have to worry about it. Reb Yaakov chosh bepika. Now this is unfortunately a type of hemorrhoids. So he was suffering from hemorrhoids that could be very, very painful, and they didn't have the wipes that we have nowadays. What's that company? Oral B? Was it
Preparation H?
Preparation H. They didn't.
Oral B is the wrong end.
It's a good thing that we have Marshall here to straighten us up. There's things that Marshall is very good at.
Figured out, I know it from my elbow.
Now, Orele Rabbi Ami, so Rabbi Ami taught him, V'imrila Rabbi Asi Orele. Look at the precise remedies that they had. Leisiv Shev Beini Ola Tolana. Bring 7 leaves of red aloe. V'tzayerle b'chalala de Beit Zavara, and wrap it in a torn piece of cotton from the neck of a shirt. V'lichlich ulvei nira barka, tie it with the hair of an animal. V'tomishle, and dip it in benatfa chivra, dip it in white naphtha, and then take this concoction, v'likle, burn it, ubaderle ilve, and scatter the ashes on the infected area by the rectum. Adahachi v'hachi, in the meantime, leise kashyasa de asna, take some of the pits of the berries of a thorn bush. Now these pits have a seam. And lenach pika lahade pika, put the seam of the pit opposite the seam by the rectum, and that will have therapeutic effect. But bahani mini pika illa, that's only if it's the upper slit of the rectum. Pika tata, if it's lower down, then what do? Laisi tarba the tzvirta deloy iftach. Bring the fat of a goat that never gave birth, v'lifshar, melt it, v'lishdarbe, and apply it. V'ilai, now in medicinal gemaras, there's a machlokes in the Rishonim whether v'ilai means if this is not available, or v'ilai means if it doesn't help. V'ilai, and if not, laisi tlas tarfa kara, take 3 leaves of a gourd or a pumpkin, the miyafshe betula, that was dried out in the shade, v'likle, burn it, v'livder elvei, and apply it. V'ilai, if not, laise mishkidei chalazone. Take, the chalazon is of course the creature that the blue dye was made from the tzitzis. You take the shell of this snail, grind it, and apply it. V'ilai, mashakira, take wax oil, v'linkait b'shachne de kisna b'kaita, and put it with woolen rags in the summer, or the amar gufna b'sitva, and cotton rags in the winter. Okay, now we're going to go to an erek. There are different types of ereks, where the air is moist and it has secretion, or where it's very dry. So, Rabbi Avo, chosh b'udnei. Rabbi Avo had an erek. I relay Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan instructed him. V'imrelei a midrasha, or it came from the study hall. So the Gemara says, "My relay." What was the instruction? Ki hadam Rabaya. Now we have elsewhere. This is not the only Talmudic medicinal Gemaras. Other Gemaras in Shas revealed to us that Abaya, who was an orphan from birth, he was raised by a foster mother, and she was an expert in medicine. So throughout Shas, Abaya quotes this foster mother by saying Amruli Aim. And by the way, it's a raya that he called her Ma because she raised him. It's a source for calling Ma, even though it's not Ma, but there is a source of calling Ma somebody that raises you. So Amruli Aim, Lo Ivra Kulyasa, a kidney of an animal was created, Elul Udna, for its therapeutic therapeutic abilities for the ear. The Amar Rava further said, Amali Minyumi Asya, Minyumi the doctor told me, Kulu Shakina Kashul Udna, all liquids are not good for the ear, Levar Mimaya de Kulyasa, except for the juice of the kidney. Laise Kulyasa de Barcha Karcha, bring the kidney of a bald goat, Vilikrai Shesi ve'erev, tear it horizontally and vertically, V'leinach amlala denura, and put it in hot coals. The kidney should be put on hot coals. V'hano maya dinofgemina, and the juice that comes from the kidney, lishdinu be'udnei, apply it in the air. But make sure, like kriya, it shouldn't be cold, like hamime, it shouldn't be hot, elapshuri, it should be lukewarm. Now, I just want to interpose over here that you have to understand, this is not hocus pocus. This was medicinal treatment based on the fact that medicinal treatment is a mitzvah saseh daraisa. The Torah says, "V'rapo yirape," you should cure a person. And the Gemara tells us that it was nitain rishus l'rayfei l'rafos. You might think that the rayfei shouldn't get in between God and his punishments, but the Torah says no. There's a mitzvah of refuah, and here the Gemara is treating this as a mitzvah, as the fulfillment of a nishmat ma'ayla nafshei seichem.
Well, at this time, these were the refuahs.
Correct.
This was the refuahs.
Well, this was the refuahs that the sages knew.
Right. I mean, my wife once went to a doctor, and he had this huge book on all refuahs. So my wife was born in Yemen, and they used to have a cure called makwa. What it was, they would take a piece of iron, put it in fire. It was like red hot, and then apply it to the area, and it was a cure.
Well, listen, I don't know about magwa. I can't tell you about witch doctors. Again, this is Gemara. This is not witch doctors. Now, Says the Gemara, "V'iloi, if not, laisi tarba de chipushta, bring the fat of a beetle." Now, a chipushta is a beetle. It's interesting because Art School over here used the word that I wasn't familiar with. It used the word, I think the word is a scabbard. But a scabbard happens to be a type of a beetle.
Scarab.
A scarab. A scarab. I was not familiar that a scarab was a species of a beetle, but it is. A scarab is
An Egyptian spider or something, wasn't it?
No, that's your cousin.